All right, welcome everybody who is joining us so far to the Samaritan Health Services Administrative Fellowship webinar. My name is Adam Vang Erickson, and I'll be hosting this event, and you'll hear from others as well. Marty Cahill, our CEO and Executive Program Director, Ali Cruiser, our Associate Program Director and fellow alum, and also from fellow alums, Liberty Patui, Lacey Bogart, and Kelly Lewis. So we're just going to take a moment just to make sure everybody can join, and just in case they're having any technical difficulties and whatnot. So we'll begin officially in just one moment, 1 minute.
Hey guys, how we doing? Can you hear me?
Hi Marty, we're just about to get started. We are going to give everyone just 1 or 2 more moments. And we are live, and Adam's going to kick it off soon.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome to Samaritan Health Services Administrative Fellowship webinar. My name is Adam Vang Erickson, and I'll be taking you through this webinar today. I'm the current fellow here at Samaritan. So welcome and thank you for joining. We appreciate your attendance today. We'll also be joined later on in the presentation by Marty Cahill, our CEO of Lebanon Hospital and Executive Program Director. Ali Cruiser, our Associate Program Director and fellow alum, and also by fellow alum Liberty Patui, Lacey Bogart, and Kelly Lewis. So a few housekeeping questions or topics to cover. Your mics and cameras will be disabled for this event, but there is a chat box that should show up on the right side of your screen. So we encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation, so that we can answer any curiosities you might have about the program or just any concerns. Go to the next slide. All right, so basic agenda today, we're going to do an overview of Samaritan Health Services. Who are we, what we do, why we're here, and go over the Administrative Fellowship Program details, program governance, and past fellow alum. and how to apply, and finally a Q&A session to follow. So again, ask questions throughout the event. We really encourage that. We want you to make sure you have a good experience through this and get your questions answered. All right, and so to introduce myself a little bit more thoroughly, my name is again Adam Vang Erickson. I'm a recent MHA graduate from Colorado State University, experienced registered polysomnographic technologist, and for those who are unaware what that might be, it's working in sleep technology for working with patients who have sleep-related breathing disorders and all types of sleep-related issues. So I started with SHS in January of 2020 at Samaritan Pacific Communities Hospital over on the coast in Newport, Oregon, which is one of our critical access hospitals. And then it was during that time I finished up my master's degree in healthcare administration and learned about this program and went through all the steps and processes you all are going through right now to achieve this type of opportunity. So I started my fellowship in June 21 of 21. And so it's only been a couple months that I've been in this position, but it's been a really amazing experience so far. So I'm excited to share more about that experience with you all today. So to go over a little bit about who we are and what we do. So thousands of your friends and neighbors make up Samaritan Health Services. We are a not-for-profit network of hospitals, clinics, and health services caring for more than 250,000 residents in the mid-Willamette Valley and Central Oregon coast. We work together to provide innovative medicine and world-class quality in a way that supports the values of the communities we serve. That includes caring for all people, regardless of your ability to pay. And some simple facts about Samaritan. Our service area spans over 290,000 residents in Benton, Lincoln, Lynn, and portions of Marion and Polk counties. We have over 6,000 employees with a projected annual revenue of $500 million, 5 hospitals, 80 primary care and specialty physician clinics. We have our own health plans, which is really exciting because not all organizations have their own health plans. So that's something that's unique for us. Medicare, Medicaid, and employer group insurance plans serving more than 70,000 people. And we also have our foundations spanning throughout our service area that raise $3 to $6 million annually from thousands of donors to support facility improvements, equipment purchases, and scholarships for low-income patients and more. So what sets us apart? Samaritan Health Services is at the forefront of delivering healthcare in a fundamentally different way, focusing on broad access to high quality services in a cost-effective manner. To do this, we use a team approach designed to foster good health through healthy lifestyle choices, timely preventative services, and a supportive environment. Samaritan Health Services is powered by our people, fueled by our teaching and learning, and focused on building healthier communities together. And with all that said, you'll really get a sense of how we do that once you get into this program, into the thick of who we are and what we do, whether it be through our current housing initiatives to provide housing for those in need through our communities, changes in our health plans, making changes in our health plans to reflect the true need of our communities through our annual community assessments. Things of that nature, our healthy initiatives programs such as Healthy Smiles or the Chef program, which teaches families to exercise and cook healthier so they don't end up in places like the hospital to begin with. So a lot of initiatives that go into setting us apart from being your average healthcare provider. And to really get in the thick of it, our mission, vision, and values. You will hear these values, missions, and our vision throughout our organization. They're posted throughout. Everybody is really driven by these 3 attributes to our organization. So our mission, building healthier communities together. Our vision, serving our communities with pride. And our values are our pride values, passion, respect, integrity, dedication, and excellence. So these are really at the center of who we are as an organization, and they're talked about often to keep us centered in what we do here at Samaritan. and our strategic priorities. And you can see all around within our strategic priorities is building healthier communities together. So we have these strategic priorities to enable us to build healthier communities together. And these consist of quality and service excellence, community partnership, sustainability, and employee engagement. And throughout your fellowship experience, we aim to have a longitudinal project in each one of our 4 strategic priorities. And that's really aimed to give you a broad and more enriched experience with it throughout your fellowship. And so to really focus on all aspects of healthcare that really making an organization run well and be effective in all our communities. So our service area, I could talk a lot about our service area. We are a large hospital system, or a large system within our service area. As so, we are a diverse system. Hospitals, critical access hospitals, our own health plans. We have SAMFIT, which is our own gym system throughout our service area. So these give you a real broad access to rotations throughout our system with different aspects of healthcare that you wouldn't necessarily get at other organizations. So it's really provides for a lot of unique opportunities, learning opportunities that will help you develop key skill sets for your entire career moving forward. As far as the climate here, the weather is fantastic. Today, I think it was 82 on my drive in and nice and breezy, full of sunshine. So, and there's just tons of things to do throughout our service area. So if you live here in the Corvallis area, you'll have the coast. You'll have Portland, only a 90-minute drive away. You'll have other things to do, Mount Hood for skiing activities or hiking, and just tons of opportunities for hiking, outdoor activities. And we have a nice little downtown area with great food. We have great food trucks throughout our area, which offer a lot of unique eats and a lot of great shopping and just tons of stuff to do within our service area. And so it's just a really unique service area. And as you can see on the map, we really span a wide service area. So we're kind of everywhere. We're a major player within our own service area. And then next I'm going to hand it off to Marty Cahill, our CEO and Executive Program Director for the Administrative Fellowship Program. Marty, again, is a CEO of Lebanon Hospital, one of our critical access hospitals. Very invested in the admin fellow program here at SHS, and he's going to speak to our awards and recognitions throughout the years that we've earned.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for participating today. Thank you, Adam. Just a little bit about services. We're an employer that's focused on the wellness of our staff. And again, being great community partners within our community. Some of the nice things that we've been recognized for, some of our programs this recently have been recognized as best in class or getting high grade in our regional medical center and other hospital recipients Healthcare's 2020 Outstanding Experience Award. Albany also received the 5-star recipient for C-section delivery as rated by Healthcare. So we've got a lot of other awards around care that we could talk about that we do a great job with. But again, as we look as an employer, the one thing we recognized a long time ago as a organization that we wanted to set up health plans so that we would self-insure our employees. And what comes out of that is we have the ability to see a unique ability to see not only the cost of care that's delivered, we also see the cost of insurance and what that buys. And we can also measure outcomes on an aggregate basis. And so we're in a unique position to understand the wellness of our workforce, and not on an individual level, but on an aggregate level. And on this slide, you see dating back to 2013, Portland Business Journal looked at the healthiest employers. And if you go back to 2013, the highest, the largest employer group was 1,500 plus employees. And then up in 2018, they actually started to change the categories to recognize that there's larger employers out there that have advantages to size, and so they moved the largest category up to 5,000 employees. One of the things I point out in the state of Oregon is we've got Nike, Intel, a lot of large healthcare systems, and a lot of large organizations in the Portland metropolitan area. And you can see that for 6 years, 6 times we've won the healthiest employer in the state, and that's looking at all sorts of outcome measures. We were doing biometric screening of our staff. We're doing health assessments every year where you go in and answer questionnaires. We also offered a $300 wellness benefit to all employees for a number of years, and what we recognized was that we were spending dollars on gyms and workout facilities that the community was offering, and in some areas they weren't offering. And so one of the nice things that we came up with was Sam Fit, off of Samaritan. We use Sam on that, and we have 4 gyms within 4 of our 5 communities where our employees have a free membership into the gym and have access to a gym where they can work out and do cardiovascular weights, and they can even sign up for Zumba classes and such. So when we look at it from a culture perspective, wellness has been important to us for a long time, and the ability for us to be recognized as the healthiest employer 6 of the last 9 years is really important to us. And we view that we recognize our employees as a valuable part of how we operate, and their wellness is important to us. So overall, I think we see that we value our employees and the state of Oregon based on the criteria. We were named the healthiest employer 6 of the last 9 years. Thank you very much. Back to you, Al.
All right, thank you, Marty, for that. I appreciate that. One thing about our leadership team, you just heard from Marty Cahill. He's big guns, CEO, living in hospital. But the one thing that I've learned about our leadership here at Samaritan is that our leaders are very down to earth, and you can actually communicate with them very frequently if you want. They're there for questions, concerns, and they're really there to guide you. They're really invested in your success when you come on board to Samaritan. It's really important to feel comfortable with your leadership team. It's really integral to the success of your wherever you move on after this. So I will say that. All right. Now getting into the program itself. So the aim statement for the program is the Administrative Fellowship Program provides an enriching opportunity for master's prepared individuals to gain valuable practical experience in healthcare. The program provides early leaders with the exposure and project experience necessary to develop a successful career in the field of healthcare administration. So there are some differences between internships and fellows, and I know when I started my journey and what I was going to do after my MHA, I really wasn't sure what all of fellowship entailed. So to go over those differences, internships are typically shorter duration, 12 weeks or so. They even have micro internships, so even shorter in some cases. Unpaid or stipend, usually within one department with varied degree requirements, and for individuals with a diverse career interest. With the fellowship, if you were to come on board with us, it's a 12-month duration, so a full year with full-time and benefits as a full-time employee. So you're one of us right off the bat, which is amazing. System-wide rotations, we'll take a look at that in a moment of what that would look like. And the degree requirements for our fellowship, MHA, MBA, MPH, or similar in healthcare administration. And you have to have a demonstrated interest in healthcare. So a few of the benefits. So the benefits are really twofold. For Samaritan, we get master's level work, we get a fresh, energized perspective, we get talent screening and leadership identification. As you move through all your experiences, we really see your own growth and are able to identify where you would best fit in our organization, and you as well, with wherever your interests lie as you grow and learn. And employee engagement, and I've seen that firsthand. The employee engagement for Samaritan employees, a lot of my preceptors are taking me in, they're teaching me all about what they do for the organization. They're getting re-energized by talking about what they do and reminding themselves why they come to work every day. So it's really exciting to see that as a fellow. And for the fellow, there's a lot of benefits, of course, translating theory into action and developing necessary skill development. Organizational knowledge. So again, going through all the different rotations, which you'll see in just a moment an example of, you'll gain a ton of organizational knowledge within the SHS system. Professional mentorship development and network building. So not only will you have Marty Cahill and Ali Cruiser as your key mentors throughout the program, you'll meet so many individuals as well, along with the other fellows, past fellows, who are just open and ready to share advice with you and to guide you in the direction that you need to go. So again, our people here are really special when it comes to this program, and they're really open and willing to help you grow in your profession, and they realize the importance of that, and they're quite invested in that. All right, so this is one of our sample rotations. SHS offers a really unique program, wide range of rotations, touching on all major services areas within our network. So in this example, fellowship orientation, what that looks like in your first month is getting tours of everywhere, learning your passwords and getting accounts settled in, all the basic stuff that, just small details that really make your job a lot smoother as a fellow. And in this example, Samaritan Medical Group, 1 month rotation, followed by all the rest of the pretty much 1 month rotations for everything. Finance, administration, critical access operations, acute care operations, project management, quality, health plans, human resources, information systems, and then program offboarding, where you're hopefully have scoped out an opportunity within our organization by that time and are ready to move forward into your new role and have a place in welcoming in the new fellow. So a lot of great rotations to experience, and you touch on a really broad base of information throughout your year here. So even if you're not necessarily excited, let's pick on finance. Maybe you're not excited that much about finance. It's still important to learn, right? Because it affects wherever you end up in your rotations. So by learning all these key rotations, you really get a broad look at how the system works as a whole, which makes you, enables you to do your job better once you get done with your fellowships. It's really exciting. And some past project examples. So we talked a little bit about our strategic priorities. So our longitudinal projects are aimed at all of our 4 strategic priorities. So some past examples that the past fellows worked on: project manager for our 2021 E&M coding project, outpatient clinic, pro formas for STARS program, NCAA compliance internal audit for the SAM, GSR MC Schwartz Brown's program implementation. And throughout your rotations, you'll pick up mini projects that might interest you or be asked of you as well. So some examples of those: SHS board members reference guide, creation of that. Medical legal partnership in Sweet Home in Brownsville. Physician demand projections for GME. Clinicians compensation audit. And so for myself, one of the longitudinal projects that I'll be involved in is creating a housing strategy to help out our community members that are in need for housing. So they can be, they really span throughout the different aspects of our organization, and your interest, what you really want to do with your career, are definitely taken into consideration as we look for viable projects within those 4 strategic priorities. So now I'm going to hand it over to Ali Cruiser, our Associate Program Director and Fellow Alum, and also the Program Ops Manager for the SAM. She's going to talk about SHS Administration, Fellow Program Governance, and Faculty and Fellow Alum.
Thank you, Adam, and hello, everyone. On this slide, we're going to talk for a minute about governance and program support. So as you can see, there's many different levels of support and mentorship in place for the fellows that go through our program. Quarterly, the fellow meets with one of our two executive sponsors, either Doug Boyson, who's our system president and CEO, or Kelly, administrative officer. More frequent check-ins are done on a weekly basis with either the program director, Marty Cahill, or the associate program director, myself. Day-to-day oversight is managed by rotation preceptors. These are the individuals that interface with the fellow throughout a given rotation. Program steering is led by the Administrative Fellowship Advisory Committee, AFAC, which is composed of a multidisciplinary team of Samaritans. This group meets monthly to help with program quality improvement and also rotation and planning. New in 2021, as our group has grown, we've added the Alumni Fellow Committee, which is composed of our prior fellows and is utilized on an ad hoc basis to support recruiting, program steering, and social gatherings. On this slide, we just want to represent and acknowledge all the fellows that have completed the program. So our fellowship program started in 2016 and has since graduated 4 fellows, with Adam well on his way to being our 5th. Our program has been very fortunate in that it has attracted candidates with diverse backgrounds, education, and levels of experience. This is something that we're very proud of. And in addition, I just want to highlight that we've been very successful with a 100% retention rate for all the graduates of our program. So we look forward to meeting more of you and continuing this conversation. And with that, I will turn it back over to Adam.
All right, thank you, Ali. And as you can see, like Ali said, all of our previous fellows are with us still. And I think that says a great deal about this program and about this organization. We're a unique area, a unique program, and the leadership and support that you'll receive from this program is so amazing that clearly people are staying, and you can also note the diverse degrees that people have and their own journey through SHS system since they ended their fellowships. So it's really important to look at that, and I encourage y'all to ask questions if you have them of how did you go into that, what was your interest or whatnot, whatever questions you may have, because it's really interesting. Everybody here has their unique story of how they started and where they went, and it's really amazing to hear about, to be honest. So wrapping up the presentation here, basically to go over the application requirements a little bit for NAFCAS, cover letter, resume, 3 graduate letters of recommendation, 1 academic, 1 professional, and 1 other, official graduate school transcript, official or unofficial undergrad transcripts, and 2 essays that can be found on the NAFCAS website. And how to apply. So the National Administrative Fellowship Centralized Application System, NAFCAS, is where you apply through. And this is a service of the National Council on Administrative Fellowships, NCAF, so it can be a little confusing there. So apply using the NAFCAS system, which you can click on that link, and there'll be a recording provided for you. After this a presentation is done, give or take a half hour, I think, for it to come to fruition after the presentation is over. So the one question I often get, and that I had as a potential candidate or as a candidate, was the interview process. So to be a little bit more transparent about that, we'll have first round interviews. Each of our top candidates will meet virtually via Teams and interview with both current and past fellows. That'll be the first round. And then our second round of interviews is a little bit more meaty, if you will. Our top candidates will participate in 4 rounds of in-person interviews with senior executives and members of the Administrative Fellowship Advisory Committee, AFAC. And AFAC, again, has program oversight over program structure, development of the strategic plan for fellowship revision and growth, and serves a huge role on advocating for the fellowship program as to why it's important. So that's what the interview process looks like. The key dates are listed here. So 10/1, the application cycle will close. We'll interview pretty quickly after that. Between 10/4 and 10/20, the interviews will take place. And then by 10/27 of 21, the admin fellow will be selected for June of 22. So it's a long process, but it moves really quickly. It seems like I was just yesterday while I was in direct patient care, and now I'm doing all this administration stuff. So it's really fun. And then the summer of 22, it begins, and yeah. So for additional information and contact info, again, we encourage you to ask questions now, but if you have additional questions, email the admin fellow at samhealth.org. You can also visit our website. It has all the information that I talked about throughout our presentation today. You can look at our health plans, and you can look at a lot of different program offerings and community offerings that we involve ourselves in throughout our communities. All right, so thank you so much for attending today. We really appreciate having you here. We're going to move over to a Q&A session now. And at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Lacey, who's going to moderate that Q&A session and get all your questions answered.
All right. Thanks, Adam. I will go ahead and moderate some questions. I think that our first question that we've received in the chat here is something that anyone can answer. The question is the second round of interviews in person this year?
I can speak to that. I think as a system, we're very optimistic that things are going to continue to progress with COVID-19. That's our tentative plan at this time, but I will say that we do have a leadership meeting in 2 days to further discuss and outline that interview process. So that's contingent on COVID.
Thanks, Allie. Yeah, I feel like that has just been the motto of 2021 in that it depends. So thank you for answering that. Hopefully that kind of helped answer that question for whoever submitted that. Our next question that we have received is a question about how involved the fellow would be in programs such as our community benefit program, and what does that involvement look like? This person said that being able to represent minority healthcare needs at the community level is what initially drove them to be interested in a career in healthcare, and they are really inspired by what Samaritan is doing with our community initiatives and is wondering how involved they would get to be in that if they were the fellow. So again, I think that's pretty open to anyone that feels like they can answer that.
Yeah, I can take that one. You know, it really depends on what projects are happening at the time that you're here. So community partnership is definitely one of our focuses. So there's constantly something going on. So it all depends on what's going on at that time, and community partnership is one of our strategic goals, right? So that there will be a longitudinal project associated with that area. And so there's going to be opportunity for you to be involved in whatever they're working on at the time. I don't know, it's non-specific right now, of course, but it changes every year and even months. So
I'd be happy to jump in as well. This is Marty. I think that as we look at each year, the one thing I would like, we've designed it for and continue to want that I'd like to see happen. Are there some initiatives the system will need, I want to work on? I also think there needs to be an opportunity for each of the fellows to work on on a project that's of interest to them. And so if we can align your interest with an initiative for the system or for the community, that would definitely be a preference of mine in the table. We're meeting the needs and wants of the fellow as well as the needs and wants of the other. So I think there's an opportunity to take on a project within the community. I think there's a great opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thanks Adam and Marty for answering that. The next question I think I will probably pass over to Allie is, am I eligible to apply if I've been working for a year after graduating from my MHA program?
And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. We have had some loose boundaries on this and hoping for individuals to have graduated within 2 years of starting the program. But I think equally as important to education and being prepared is the fit for our organization. So we will certainly consider anybody that's been working for a year or two.
Awesome. Thanks, Allie. I will probably pass this next question off to you, but I think maybe Adam or Kelly could answer it as well. And this question is, where is the home office location for the administrative fellow? Is it based at the Corvallis campus?
I can speak to that. As far as my experience for the past 2 months have been, it really depends on your rotation. So I always consider my home base to be Corvallis at our main GSR campus, but I did spend a considerable amount of time over in Lebanon, and I got to spend 2 weeks out on the coast. So I travel to the coast frequently, and in doing so, you really get a broad aspect of working with different leadership and learning. All our service area is really all about togetherness and having a whole system approach, but every different hospital has some different things going on. So being able to travel and learn about those differences and nuances and communities really helps you to grow and gain a lot more knowledge for your leadership journey. So, but I always consider my main site to be GSR, and I have my own little cubicle here. So I return here and I come here often.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. The next question is, what do we believe sets Samaritan and our program apart from other healthcare administrative fellowships? So I think that's something that really any of us can answer since we've all been pretty involved with it. But I can go ahead and start. I think one of the things that sets Samaritan apart from other healthcare administrative fellowship programs is that we're actually a fairly new administrative fellowship program. Adam is only our 5th fellow, so I would still classify that as pretty new. So one of the cool things that you would get to do if you're involved in this program is kind of help structure what the fellowship program is going to look like for the next year and what it will look like in the future. So being able to kind of grow your own program, I think is pretty unique, and it's a cool opportunity. And then as we kind of mentioned before, Samaritan really, we have a lot of different levels of support in our administrative fellowship program. And I'm sure there's support offered at other programs, but I mean, you have everyone from our Samaritan president and executive, the whole system, who your office will be just down the hall from. So you'll get to see him on a regular basis and get support from him. You have Marty, who is one of our CEOs at one of our critical access hospitals. You have Allie, who's our associate program director, and she provides great insight in that she went through the fellowship program and she's one of our alum. You have a whole diverse AFAC committee of people that are represented from all over the system that care about this program and they care about you. And then you have, with our great retention rate, all of the previous fellows that are here to help support you and guide you. So I think that's one of the things that makes us really great. I'm curious if anyone else wants to help answer that question.
I'll go ahead and add to that. This is Liberty. I'm one of the former fellows. I was in this role in 2016, 2017. Happened to also be the first one to go through the program. And in my role now, to kind of talk about the programs and different projects that we do, a lot of the projects that I was a part of is still standing currently today and has had an impact to the system. And I've seen the projects that I've had, that I've been involved in, evolved and develop and have seen different iterations. So another thing is, if you're wondering with the projects and the projects that you're going to be a part of, it is really awesome to see it 5 years later be standing and know that my work was definitely taken worthwhile to the system. And so I think that's something that you can absolutely, and I think all of us can say that a lot of our projects really do hold a value to the system, and we do have that support from leadership and all of our employees.
And the only other thing, this is Kelly Lewis. I was the admin fellow last year, just completed my fellowship program. I think the one thing that I'll add to what everybody else has already said is the uniqueness that we have in having some integration with our health plans. That sets us unique, and I know that we had mentioned that before, but being able to look in the future as we're looking at the quadruple aim of healthcare and how we're able to tackle some of the complexities and challenges that we have just as a system and in the US. Being able to leverage that partnership and learn and explore and work together, I think is super important and makes us valuable and stands out. So that's all I added. But I'll give it back to Lacey.
All right, thank you. We have quite a few questions, so I'm going to try to still keep getting through them. The first one is this person wanting to know if they made it through the interview process and they were chosen to represent Samaritan as the administrative fellow next year. What would a successful year look like as a fellow? And what would I be prepared for in the post-fellowship world of healthcare administration? So I think we'll probably hand that one over to Allie or Marty in what they think a successful year would look like as a fellow.
I can start and just briefly say, speaking to one of the slides that Adam had previously spoken to earlier, is that this program is really meant to be mutually beneficial, right? So during this year, we hope that the fellow can work on rigorous projects that can help support the system's initiatives. But at the same time, those projects are going to give the fellow the opportunity to gain valuable skills, right? So that's one of the things that we look for. I think afterwards, it's hard to say. I think each one of us has come in with a different lens and idea of where our interests are and where we'd like to end up afterwards. But oftentimes that has changed for each of us, right? So I think one of the biggest takeaways is for the fellow to build their skill sets, but then also learn where their calling is involved. And some of us may go into that knowing it, and some of us may come out very surprised at what the outcome is.
Yeah, I think for a fellow, it's mentioned. I think when you're coming in, you'll get a very high level view of the initiative. You've heard we've got 5 hospitals, we have health plans, we have a captive insurance. We cover our med now for our clinicians. So we've got a pretty diverse delivery model for the size organization that we are. And the ability to sit in on all facets of the business of the integrated delivery model, including health plans. You've got finance and all administration. You get contact with all of our senior executives. I think a successful year is learning to be flexible, understanding that healthcare is a fluid environment, that the best laid plans for any given day, any given week, or any given month can be sidetracked by a pandemic or a wildfire. So you've got to recognize that, again, being flexible in how we do things and how you do things, but also being able to deliver deliverables in a timely manner in a very fluid environment is going to be very important. And then what you bring to the table and what you help us to grow in and maybe teach us as well. So it's a mutual learning environment. We want to grow with you. We want you to grow and understand how an integrated delivery model system works. And then, as you can see, we've got 5 fellows, and we've got all of them employed right now. And we have a 5th one with us. So again, we're looking to get people in who are hungry and desirous to learn how healthcare works, and then hopefully find a home for them at the end of that. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Allie and Marty. This next question, I think that Adam might be a good person to answer this because he experienced it firsthand. But if a current employee joins the fellowship, so current employee at Samaritan, will they resign from their current position to join the fellowship?
Yeah, so my experience with that, I know I had the offer to join the fellowship about, I believe it was about 5 months before, 4 or 5 months before I even started the fellowship. So I continued on with my employment as a sleep technologist until I joined the fellowship. So it was, they made it a kind of a seamless process as ending my journey with the sleep lab and coming over to administration. So it's pretty easy.
All right, thanks, Adam. This next question is about diversity. This person wants to know how committed we are as an organization to diversity. This person believes they can bring a different perspective, but just wondering how open the organization is to diversity. So I think, again, probably anyone can answer this. I know Marty has been involved with some high-level meetings with diversity, but I will just add in here something that I've learned in a group that I've gotten to work with a little bit is we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion group that has been started at Samaritan, and it's been going for probably about 2 years now. And it is made up of a pretty wide variety of people, and they're doing great work. We have people that work for Samaritan that are solely dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that we are a workplace that is open to everyone and their perspectives. So we do have that going for us, but I will open it to if anyone else wants to expand on that.
Yeah, this is Marty again. We set up, as Lacey said, we set up our equity inclusion group, the 2 or 3 years ago. I'll say that we're doing good work. I think we still have great opportunity in that area to expand it. I think that we're doing a great job now in trying to create a diverse workforce. But we could do better. So there's opportunity there. We're open to it. It's definitely one of our initiatives that we're working on, both from an employment perspective, but also from an insurance perspective too, with our health plan. Opportunities there for us to be better, but we've been working at it for the last something that's important to us, and we're opportunity for the fellow coming in, if they have interest and desire, they want to help participate in that group.
And I can add to that a little bit as well. So just to add to that, my own experience being part of the LGBTQ plus community, that was really important to me too, was diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so if you go on our website, you can actually dig into our diversity, equity, and inclusion program a lot more thoroughly. And so I learned a lot by just diving in and reading. And my firsthand experience here is just a very open, warm, friendly, and accepting environment. And as I stated before, even the Top Gun CEOs, our president and CEO, Doug Boyson, very approachable, very supportive. So yeah, my experience here being part of the LGBTQ plus family has been very positive, and it's been very interesting to learn more about what Samaritan is doing to make sure that we're serving our communities correctly and amping up our ability to do so, but also creating a pathway to ensure that our employees are representative of our community. So I encourage you to go on our website to learn more about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam and Marty. Our next question, I think any of us former fellows could answer, but this person is wanting to know what our favorite projects or experiences are that we've had during our fellowship. Well, I will go ahead and start while everyone else thinks. One of my favorite experiences that I had as a fellow was actually one that I was not anticipating. So I'm Lacey. I was the fellow from the 2019 to 2020 year, and I think that we all know kind of what happened March 2020. So my fellowship kind of took a little bit of a turn there at the end, and I ended some of my rotations early because that was really when we didn't know what to expect with COVID, and so we were trying to do a lot of preparation work. So I got to be involved with a lot of different planning committees that were doing a lot of preparation for what COVID would look like, even back in the early days before everything shut down. And it was something that I didn't think that I would ever be a part of, but I learned kind of what happens when an organization is planning for a pandemic that the nation and the world is not prepared for. So kind of getting to be a part of those conversations from the very beginning was a really not cool experience because it was kind of terrifying, but a really unique experience that I definitely wasn't expecting to have. And as everything kind of ramped up with COVID and we had to pivot and make changes, I actually got to be part of our incident command at our largest hospital here in Corvallis. And I got to be a part of it and I had a role on it. And I was doing labor pool staffing. So when we canceled all of our elective procedures, we had a bunch of people that no longer were doing their normal work. And I had to help assign them different jobs to do related to COVID. So it's just something that, again, didn't expect to happen during my fellowship, but I'm thankful for the knowledge that I learned doing that.
And then I'll quickly just piggyback to Lacey's experience. My name is Kelly Lewis again. I was the admin fellow for last year, finished 2020 to 2021. And I think that although it's structured in the sense that you have rotations that you go through every month, it's variable, and that's the name of the game in administration, and it can change, and you kind of have to adapt to the changes and be prepared for anything. And so to piggyback off of the COVID experience, I was able to help with the vaccine, our mass vax events, and coordinating those, and worked at the first vax event and some of our volunteers. And then in the September, we had historic wildfires come through our region and displaced many of our own employees as well as our patients. That resulted in some overflow patients that needed some help with housing and case management that were at one of our hospitals. And so I was deployed for a day to go work as a case manager and help those patients get some resources that they needed in some of those times. So although it's structured in design, there's also significant variability, and basically to get involved at all facets throughout the organization as it sees fit. So that's some of the fun things that I mean, it was just a tremendous experience. I can't speak enough, but those are some of the additional things into the things that weren't already demonstrated in the presentation. And I don't know if Allie or Liberty want to add any more there, but.
I'll just share a quick clinical experience that I had. So this is Liberty. I did my fellow year 2016, 2017, my rotation with quality, which is now population health. We were looking at bundle payments for patients who were undergoing heart surgeries. So the recommendation for my preceptor of that month was to follow a patient. And so into their journey and figure out, payment models as far as global visits go, and, making sure that we understand what that payment would be to us as the system, and then what it would mean for the insurance company and what it would mean for the patient. So basically, in that, with patient's permission, I was able to follow a patient through their heart surgery, sat into 4.5 hours of heart surgery with one of our cardiovascular surgeon, and then was able to follow up that patient with a cardiologist, and then able to see them at the in cardiac rehab and provide a proposal to the population health VP. And we ended up not, going towards the cabbage APC model, but payment model, but it was really interesting to see the patient experience again with their permission, and so it was very valuable.
All right. I think we can probably go ahead and move on to the next question. This person that submitted this question is very interested in rural medicine and the unique healthcare needs of those communities. So they're wondering, as a fellow at Samaritan, are there opportunities to work with the rural communities of Oregon? What sort of projects are offered to the fellow in regards to our rural communities? And I think maybe Marty might be a good person to kick us off on this conversation, considering he's the CEO of one of our critical access hospitals. But maybe talk a little about the opportunities a fellow would have to get involved with our rural communities.
Yeah, great question. You know, one of the benefits of Samaritan, again, is that we are a nice system with some different sized hospitals. We have 3 critical access hospitals, 2 on the coast and 1 in the valley. So the opportunity to be part of rural health is important. We look at it holistically. If people aren't aware of the opportunities in rural America, they might not go there. And when you look at training programs for doctors, for clinicians, for nurses, again, a lot of times residency programs are in big cities, big tertiary hospitals in metropolitan areas. We have a residency program, 110 medical residents in Corvallis and across the system. We want to teach them and show them that there's medicine outside of the urban areas, that there's things happening in the rural areas. So part of the fellowship, the fellow program with us, again, it's getting everyone exposure to the rural parts of our system. And again, there's many projects to work on throughout the system. We're looking at each one of our sites, making sure that we're looking at those holistically, at least locally, and then rolling them up through the system. So there's a number of projects and programs that we're working on all the time. We have rural health clinics. We have critical access status, which are both reimbursement models. We also have a number of care initiatives that go on within our rural communities as well. So again, the opportunity to spend some of your time or most of your time in the rural area is possible. Again, we just have to make sure that in the locations you're seeing all parts of hospital administration and the system. But we do have 3 rural hospitals that you can definitely work with. Definitely projects around rural health across the county. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Marty. The next question that we have is, if each rotation is only 1 month, are we able to work on longer term projects? So the short answer to that is yes, but I will probably pass it over to Allie as Associate Program Director to talk a little bit more about the timeline of projects.
Yes, so as Adam had shown earlier today, we have these longitudinal projects and micro projects throughout the fellowship. So you do have the opportunity to work on longer term projects. We try and have the fellow have a project aligned with each one of our 4 strategic priorities. And this year what we did was gathered project ideas from different leaders throughout our system in advance. And we're partnering with our project management group to try and look at the different projects that have already been identified as priorities for the system. So that way we already know there's resources being dedicated to these things and they're robust enough to help span over the course of the fellowship. So there will definitely be opportunities for longer term projects and shorter ones in the experience.
All right. All right. Okay, we only have 1 question left in the Q&A, so if anyone has any other lingering questions, you can definitely submit them. But this last question is about what Samaritan did during COVID. What steps did we have to take during COVID? And they're asking, did we have to furlough or lay off any employees? I think that Marty might be a good person to answer that question since he was involved in everything from a high level.
Yeah, great question. That the one thing that we decided as an organization was that we would not terminate or lay off anybody. The one thing that we did do and move towards was we started sending people home for some periods of time. So we had mandatory time off. The benefit around that was that they maintained their health care benefits. they could use their paid time off PTO. But one other thing that we did as well was we allowed any one of our employees to go up to 80 hours or 2 weeks pay in arrears on their PTO. So that basically got in advance of 2 weeks of vacation time or sick time or whatever you want to call it to offset any time that they were asked to be off as a mandatory absence for a couple of days. And we also offered people the opportunity, again, if it just wasn't right for them, they needed to stay home with their children or something. We allowed them to resign and protest or contest their unemployment. Then we tried to hire them back, we definitely, workforce. They know us, we know them, and so some people actually find their positions or to hire some of those folks back now based on that they could come back out of the home, start working more. So not lay anyone off, this is not anybody. We did afford people to have opportunity to take extended time. Also did a couple of weeks extra vacation. After that, they went back. It was weird that to be able to there, and still maintain. We did everything we could to avoid, but actually worked out what benefit. But last year was difficult. We were having to shut everything down for these 5 days and cases that nature. So we have been overwhelmed. So, it was a good move, and it proved to be a good move for us, maintaining our workforce. We have very difficult. It's paying off for us now, but it's just all the volumes and all the delays there that people. Again, we did not furlough, we did not land. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Marty. It was a little hard to hear you during that. I think you kind of cut off a little bit, but one of the main points that you talked about that I just want to make sure others hear is that Samaritan really made the decision that we were not going to have anyone permanently lose their jobs during COVID. And so we had a variety of different ways that we kind of navigated that. Some people chose to spend some time at home due to whatever reason, and we accommodated them with that, and eventually took a lot of people back. We also, one of the ways that we navigated it was we had some mandatory PTO days. So I know for me, I was a corporate employee and I had to take like 1 or 2 PTO days a month, which I got paid for, but you have to use your PTO for. But in case anyone struggled with that or they didn't have enough PTO, Samaritan gave you the opportunity to have an advance in your PTO so that people were still able to pay their bills and make things work during all of that with COVID. There was a time where our state didn't allow us to do elective procedures, so that really did affect the jobs of some people that work in those areas. But we had a lot going on with COVID. So in the labor pool at different incident command centers at our hospital, we were able to use them in different ways, make sure they were able to still get all their hours in so that they could make things work for them. So we had to pivot a little bit, but we made it all work.
And the last thing I'll speak up to on that as well is prior at the start when Lacey was finishing her fellowship, I was as a physical therapist working for our system. And as a PT, we didn't have patients because we were shut down. We were elective service for the most part. And so what the options were really is, we were still employed, we're employees, but we buttoned up things that we could around the facility, got some stuff done, as well as we were able to take some mandatory absence. And we all really worked as a team to see who needed hours, who needed to shift around. And so I think that speaks volumes to our organization, that we really are a family organization and we're looking out for each other. And like everybody else has said, that we didn't have to furlough anybody, but we all really kind of shared and shifted, and we knew it was a team effort and have come through. We're still obviously in COVID, still going through many of the challenges, but I think we're stronger than we have been even before. And so it's just because of the mentality that our organization has as really being a family. So that's the only plug that I'll give. I'm not sure if there's other questions.
All right, thanks Marty and Kelly. We do have one more new question, and it is, how many fellowships will be offered next year? I will go ahead and say 1, but I know that Allie might want to talk about this a little bit too.
Yeah, thank you, Lacey. So the tentative plan moving forward is still to host 1 fellow each year. I think there's been conversation and continues to be conversation about as this program grows, could we magnify that and grow it? But at this time, I think the plan is to be moving forward with 1 per year.
Great, thanks, Allie. I'm not seeing any more questions that anyone has submitted. I know there's a little bit of a delay on Teams Live between what you're seeing and what's happening in real life. So I will just give it a few moments here for anyone to submit any last minute questions that they might have before we wrap up.
And as we wait for maybe one last question to wrap up, I'll just say, thank you again for coming and joining us and staying for our Q&A. And we really hope we answered all your questions to the best of our ability. Our email address for the admin fellow at samhealth.org. Go ahead and email any questions to that. And if you have a lot of questions, I can even give you a call if you have so many questions that can't fit into one email. So I hope we explained who we are, what we do, and really taught you a lot of great things about Samaritan, as well as elaborated on our service area and how great our area here is in Oregon and how beautiful of a city it is to be in and live in, and how ultimately this experience can really impact your career for the rest of your lives. So.
All right, Adam, and I don't see any more questions submitted. Oh, just kidding. There was one that came through and there's going to be a little bit of a delay. But this person wants to know, are University of Oregon fans allowed in Corvallis? And Marty, it's been kind of hard to hear you, but I'll just go ahead and tell everyone that Marty is an alum from the University of Oregon. And if you spend some time in his office over in Lebanon, you'll see many duck gear. So yes, they are allowed. We won't shun you. But I do not see any other questions.
All right, if we don't have any other questions, we'll wrap it up. Again, you can feel free to email us at that web address. There will be a copy of this live recording. If you want to revisit any of the topics we discussed, you just go into your original invite and click on that, and it should bring you to this live event, or the recorded version anyways. So otherwise, visit our website, www.samhealth.org, or email us at adminfellow@samhealth.org, and we'll make sure to answer your questions and support you during this process of applying and fielding any questions you may have about our organization. But thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And have a good day, everybody.